All right, so we'll just start by going through those. Okay, so take a picture if you need to. I'll stop sharing that. And this one. Okay, so as someone kindly pointed out, this is the first question there is a non-calculator. Okay, so let's look at a wee bit of skills there. Okay, if we look at 70% of something, okay, what we're wanting to do when we've got a figure like that and we're trying to find out the original is we're going to try and find either 1% of that, okay, or we're going to find 10% of that original. Okay, so if we want to find 10% of that number, we divide the number by 7. So we've currently got 70% of that number. So if we divide that by 7, we're going to get 10% of that number. We've got 7 10% chunks, if you like. Okay, so the skill sort of long division, what you do, that is worthwhile. Okay, so if you've not seen that in a while, you've not done it in a while, okay, look back at BBC Bite Size and those things. But essentially, when we set it up like that, we're taking the number in front and we're just going through and dividing each of our numbers. All right. So we take the 7. Does the 1 divide by 7? No, it doesn't. Okay. Remainder 1. Okay, and that becomes 16. So I'm now dividing 16 by the number 7. 7 goes into 16 twice. Okay. And it carries over 2. Now, remember, the decimal stays where it is. So that decimal between 16.1 or 16.10, sorry, 16.10, that decimal stays where it is. So where I've got 16, above that I've got 2, then follows the decimal. And I'm then dividing 21 by 7, getting 3. Okay, so it becomes 10% is £2.30. Okay, is everyone comfortable with what I did there? Okay, so to find 10%, we're taking whatever value we've got and we're dividing it by how many 10% chunks we've got in there. Okay, so 10% is £2.30. So take that up to 100%. We're going to multiply that £2.30 by 10. Okay. Doing that, we just move the decimal one place to the right. It'll become £23. Okay. Okay, so not too bad a question, that's worth 3 marks. Okay, the most challenging part of that is just reminding yourself how to do that long division and not trying to get to 1% like we were looking at a lot on Thursday, just try to get to 10% and then multiplying that by 10. Now, on a very rare occasion, it might give you something you can divide down into 5% as well. Okay, there's not a lot of those questions out there, but just be aware of that in case you might need to divide it. But if you were given something that had 25% of the value, okay, dividing that by 5 would then give you 5% of that value, and then you can multiply it by 20 to get 100. Okay, so that's quite a good skill to have. That second question we looked at, okay, so that was again from 2022, this time in paper 2. Okay, paper 2 just means calculator paper. Okay, so in 2021, we had profit of 215. Okay, and it was going to increase by 3% per year. Okay, now remember, the value with which we start in these type of questions, that is 100%. Okay, our starting value is the 100%. If we're increasing it, we're going up We're going to have more than 100%. We're going to have more than a whole. Okay, so we're going to have a number bigger than 215,000. So in your answer, you're looking for a bigger number than 215,000 to be in the right ballpark. All right, that's a simple check for you. Okay, now remember doing the multiplier. Okay, our start point was at 100%. Okay, and that was our 1. Okay, if we're increasing it, okay, so if we're increasing it, we'd have a number greater than 1, so we're adding on. So we're increasing by 3%, we'd have 1.03. Okay, we can divide that 3% by 100 and add it onto the 1, or you could add the 3% on 100% and then divide it by 100. All right. So we're increasing it by 3% every time. So we're going to multiply that start figure by 1.03 to go up every year. Okay, but to go up multiple years at a time, or to go up multiple periods of time at a time, okay, we do it to the power of. Okay, so to 2021 to 2025 is 4 years. Okay, so 22, 23, 24, 25. Okay, so we're going up in 4 jumps. Okay, so to do that, we're starting with our 215. We're multiplying it by our multiplier, which is 1.03. Okay, we're increasing by 3% a year, and that's to the power of 4. And we're going to get our value is 242. And it was a bunch of numbers afterwards. 215. That was 241 actually. 241,984.39. Okay, but it asked in the question to the nearest 1,000, and that's a really simple mark to lose. All right, not recognizing that. So just be aware of that. Just that last line in the question, give your answer to the correct nearest £1,000 is worth a mark. All right, really easy mark to miss. And it's a shame if you do all the work. Okay, so you'll get mark for the correct multiplier, mark for being able to use it with the correct number of years, and then a mark for getting the right thousands of pounds.
I don't get the bit that's, like, I understand it overall, but I don't get how it's 1.03%.
Because we're increasing, so we're going up. So we're 100% as a whole. That's 1, so I've got 1 of them. All right, if I'm having more than that, I'm adding to it. So if I'm adding 3%, all right, 3%.
Just try to technically work out like 103.
Yeah, so I'd have, essentially after the 3% is added, I'd have 103%. All right, but I can't multiply that number by 103 because it'd be massive. So I'm multiplying it by the 103 divided by 100. Should be the 1 point. So the 1.83. Right.
Can I ask, right? So while I was looking at this, right, I was looking at it, I know it's probably totally wrong, but I was looking at it like I was doing like 3% times that by 4, like making it 12%.
No.
No.
Well, it's not as easy as saying it goes up by 12%. All right.
Right.
What happens is it compounds. Okay.
Okay.
So if you've ever listened or read the Financial Times, they love a bit of compounding. Okay, so in 2021, we've got 215,000. All right, 2022, it's gone up by 3%.
Mm-hmm.
So it'd be the 215 multiplied by 1.03, and that would give us 215, 1, 2, 3 times 221, 450. Okay, Now that now becomes the start point. %100%, if you like, for the next year. So the 3% is then multiplied into that. So in 2023,
You would then just do it again, but using the 221.
yeah,
So could you do it that way as well then, and write it out like that if you were to do it in years?
yeah.
Yeah, because
So-
that looks a lot more straightforward the way you've written that.
So what I would say with that is for 4 years, that probably isn't too bad.
But obviously if it's loads and loads and loads of years.
But one of the questions we did the other night was 15 years.
Oh, no.
I would recommend doing it for 15 years.
Yeah.
That's the power of,
That was a power off, that with the calculator, yeah.
oh yeah. Wouldn't be doing that in your head. Although I did say that at the start of the first question, and then we went, "Ooh, actually." Okay, so that's how you do that. So yes, you can do it, but it's not as easy as saying it just goes up by 12%.
Yeah, that's fine.
Compounds.
Okay.
That is what compounding is.
Right.
Good question though, okay?
Okay.
So what we're going to look at tonight is a sort of just a wee build up of that. So the understanding that the number one is sort of gives us one whole, all right, leads us down the idea of a fraction. Okay, and I sort of started the other night by saying those common fractions that we'd sort of look at. Okay, so when we're looking at whole numbers, okay, when we've got the number one, we can say that it was 100%. If I've got one of something, I've got 100% of that thing. All right. We're going to look in terms of something called mixed fractions. So we're going to use a mix of whole numbers, also fractions as well. So if you're looking at quarter, you can also write that as sort of 25%. That's what links it back to sort of percentages. Do you remember that 25% is 25% because it's a simplified version of 5 over 100. All right, 1/4 is just a simplified version of that 25 over 100. Right, that's where the 25% comes from. Okay. When I say mixed numbers, okay, we're combining whole numbers and we're combining fractions. So we've been using, say, the 125%. Okay, but we can also write that as one whole plus 1/4. All right, now don't have to make that transition, but that's showing you how we can use fractions and compare them to percentages. Okay. We're used to numbers, or sorry, we're used to fractions where we have the smaller number on top. All right, we're used to those fractions, 1/4, 1/5, all right, 9/10. Okay, we're used to those sort of fractions, all right, they're the sort of common ones. Okay, what we're not seeing too much of is when we have the larger numbers. Okay, this is called top heavy. Okay. Top heavy fractions, 10/6. Okay. 73. Top heavy fractions can be split up into whole numbers and their plus their fraction. Okay. Now, where does the whole number come from in that example? Okay. The whole number comes from the denominator. All right, how we work it out. So if I've got 28/6, okay, that number 6 is the denominator. Okay. If I was to write a whole number out with a denominator of 6, I would have 6/6. That equals a whole number of 1. 12/6 would simplify down to the whole number of 2. 18/6 go to number 3. 4/6 simplify to number 4. Okay. Essentially, this is what we are doing. We are seeing how many whole numbers we've got within that 28/6, and then we're finding out what the remainder is. The remainder would be, once I get to the biggest whole number, before going above the number that's given, so before going above that 28, so if I added 6 onto 24, I would get number 30. Now that's gone above that 28. So I'm getting 24, which is 4 wholes, but then I've been left with the difference between 28 and 24. So I'm being left with 4. Okay, so my remainder for this example is 4/6. Okay, so my answer would be 4 wholes, 4/6. Okay, and I can simplify that 4/6 down to 2/3 as well. Okay. So that denominator, that number in the bottom, is what I use to find out how many wholes I'm going to get. All right, how many big numbers. Now going the other way from that, turning a mixed fraction into a top heavy fraction, okay, essentially I'm doing it the opposite direction. So if I start with 4 and 2/5, okay, that means I've got 4 wholes, 4 whole things, 400% of something. All right. Now, 4 wholes would be 4 of 5/5s. All right, that'd be one whole thing. Because that's the denominator. So that depends on the denominator. All right. So I've got 4 of them. So Got that 5 multiplied by 4 over 5. I've got 20 over 5. So I've got 20 over 5. That's what's been simplified to give me that whole number of 4. I'm going to add on my remainder. Right? Because they are the same denominator, I can just add them. So I've got 22 over 5, and that's my original fraction. Right?
How did you get 5 over 5?
So that would be a whole something. So say I back that block, that would have been easier. If I split B6. That's dreadful. Why didn't you ask me a quarter? But do you start with 5? But do you split a circle into 5 pieces? Ah, behave yourself. Right, you're not getting it. Google it. Alright, now that, so a fraction, if I had a fraction of something, if I had a fraction of that pizza, alright, let's just
Yeah.
split it into 4 because it's nice and easy. Alright, I still can't even do that properly. If I just colour in one of those corners, alright, that's 1/4 of that pizza coloured in, alright?
Yep.
That's 1/4 of it. Okay, or 25% if you want to go back to that first. Alright, if I colour in 2 of that, you can see pretty clearly 2 of the quarters have been filled, right? And now we're on 50%.
Yep.
Three of them. And then once I do 4 of them, all right, I've covered the whole thing. So I've covered all 4 sections of that 4-section pizza. So I've covered 100% of it. So I've got a whole. All right. That's essentially what we've done, but the denominator on this one is 5. Okay, so I've imagine cutting that pizza into 5. All right, I've got 4 whole pizzas. So I've got 4 pizzas completely coloured in, and I've got a remainder of 2 slices. So
Oh, right, okay, right. It's just, I'm just trying to like the way you've just explained it, envision it so that I can see, because I was confused as to what you meant by having the 4 holes, but then like the 2 in the hat, like 2 over 5 at the side. I didn't know what that really meant.
yeah, good question then. All right, so 4 holes. So I've got 4 full pizzas, and then I've got 2/5 of a pizza. So I've got 2 out of the 5 slices essentially.
Yeah.
All right, essentially that's all we've done there then. So we've multiplied out how many we've got, okay, how many holes we've got, and then we've added that 2 onto the end, but our denominator's still 5. All right, so that's changing a mixed fraction. Top heavy. Okay. I've been quite long-winded in the way I've sort of written that out there. So I think I could split a circle into a third. Oh, God. Sure. Yeah, I have a copy and paste function. Right, huh? Oh my god, I didn't mean to do that. Okay. 2 holes. Okay. 1/3, 2/3, 3/3. 1/3, 2/3, 3/3. Then 1/3.
Hold on, but it's the 2 ones that are coloured in and then the one that's.
Yep. Alright. That'd be 1 plus 1 plus third equals 2. Or 3 plus 3 plus 1 equals 6, 7. 3. Okay. That's 2 ways of writing that.
Rather than adding the bottom bit, you don't, because that just stays the same, so that's what it is.
Yep. The denominator stays the same. Do that once more. Maybe not. Okay, copy. Maybe there's an option somewhere on this computer. I'm going to try and sort that one. You're all right. All right, we're splitting that into 8s. Okay. That would be 1/8, 2/8, or 1/4, 3/8, 4/8, 5/8, 6/8, 7/8. All right. Going to do number. Let's see. 3, 5, 8. All right. So turning that from a mixed to top heavy. Okay. We've got 8 slices coloured in at 8. Eight slices coloured in at 8. 8 slices. Coloured in at 8. All right. So 8, 16, 24. Okay. And then we've left with 5/8. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And 1 more. All right, 5/8. Okay, that's your 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 5/8. It's equal your 3 5/8. Okay, or 8, 16, 24, 29 over 8, and that's your top measure fraction.
Hey, can I just ask, is it possible to take the whole number and say 3 times 8 plus 5? Okay.
Yeah, I wouldn't,
I didn't know if that was too much of a,
I wouldn't draw them out in the exam.
no, I was,
Oh wait, I see what you mean as well by
Yeah,
times and the
so
whole number at the
that's,
bottom.
that's exactly what you would do. Alright, so we go back to the 4 and 2/5. Alright, it'd be 4 times 5 plus or 2 over 5. Respect to. Alright. Go back to the 2 and 1/3, so we did. The 2 times 3 plus 1. 7 over 3. And 5x. Yeah, exactly what you would do. Yeah. So I was just exaggerating it, but. Well, no.
you can do the opposite way when you're trying to work out, like you can do 5 times 4. It works the same way.
Hmm.
Use fractions.
So the bottom number is basically a bit like parts of this such,
Yes.
and then that's your remainder. Top that, and then the whole number is just how many actually what is left.
Alright, if we were doing that backwards. Alright, if we started with 29/8. We can look at it in the same way as well. So I started with a bigger number. You can also start with 9 over 8 and leave it in a mixed fraction. Alright, which we'll have to do. Okay, 29 over 8 is 8 wholes. 8 wholes. And then you've got the remainder of 5. Okay, you've got 1, 1. I think it's to give you 5, 8. Okay, but what I did a couple back, obviously not drawing them out, was doing that out. Okay, so you've got 8 over 8 would be 1. 16 over 8 would be 2. You'd have 24 over 8. It's 3 wholes. Okay. The next one, you added 8 onto that. You have 32. That's gone beyond that. So the next one will be your remainder. And your look at better ways of writing that out, obviously. Get it clear in your head. The questions that we'll get in the exam, they'll give you a mixed number and ask you to calculate it. Okay, and leave it back in the mixed number. Okay, so they'll give you 2 mixed numbers beside each other and ask you to calculate them. So let's just have a wee reminder. For calculating fractions. When we're doing the adding or subtracting, that's exactly the most complicated way to work with fractions. Okay, the way we taught it was just cast smile. Okay, where we multiply top line diagonally across with the bottom of the second fraction, bottom of the first fraction multiplies with the top of the second fraction, and then we multiply the two denominators. Okay, so the KISS smile, we'll have a wee look at when we're multiplying fractions. That's the easiest way to work with them. Okay, multiplying fractions, you're just multiply the top line, multiply the bottom line. Okay, simple as that. Then dividing fractions is a method where we need to flip the second fraction. Then multiply. Okay, so when adding and subtracting is the most common, they like to throw a division in there sometimes as well. Right? Very rarely you get a multiply. Okay. Example. Question will be expressed as a single fraction. In its simplest form. I.e., top heavy, mixed number. You're leaving it as a mixed number. So start as mixed numbers, we'll convert it to top heavy fractions, and then we'll change it back at the end. Okay. 7, 5, 6 minus 3 and 1/3. First thing we need to do is convert the numbers. Okay, and we'll do it that nice quick way. We have 7 times 6 plus our 5 over 6 minus 3 times 3 plus 1 over 3. 7 times 6 is 42 plus 5 is 47. 3 times 3, 9 plus 1 is 10. Right. Now you're left with a horrible multiply. KISS smile for a subtraction. So we've got a subtract in there. You cross multiply. So the 47 get multiplied by the 3. Okay, which isn't an easy multiplication to do. Let's bring it over to one side. Need a wee bit of space. 47. So if you do this over the right hand side of your page, just the way my screen set up. 5 by 3. Okay, so you've got 7 times 3 is 21. So we're carrying that 2. 3 times 4 is 12. Plus that 2. I'll just keep going out in here. Cross multiply the 6 and the 10. 60. Okay, so we've got the top line 141 minus 60. The bottom line is our smile. 6 and the 3. Okay, so that's just a wee reminder where that term decimal comes from. 141 minus 60, and that's divided by 18. I come up here, equals 141 minus 60 is 81. Okay, pretty horrible sum. The first thing I would look at here is trying to simplify that now. Unless you're quite lucky, know your 9 times table really well, all right, you might not be able to see that, okay? You might get lucky and it might end in a 0 or a 5 and you're able to simplify that down quite quickly. Okay, so if you recognize that 9 goes into 81 9 times, 9 goes into 18 twice, all right, so that can simplify down to 9 over 2, all right, and that's a little bit easier to work with. But we can still work with 81 over 18, okay? Even though the 18 times table doesn't flow off the tongue, the method I would use is just write it out in a column. All right, 18, what's next after that? So 18 plus 18 is going to give you 36. Plus 18 after that is going to give you 454. Plus 18 on top of that will give you 62, 72. Okay, and add 18 on top of that will give you 90, potentially. Anyone disagree? No. Cool. Okay, so we've got 1 whole 18, we've got 2 whole 18s, 3 whole 18s, 4 whole 18s. We've not quite got the 5th. So we've got 4 whole blocks, we've got 4 whole pizzas of 18 slices. Okay, and then my remainder would come from 72 up to 81. All right, so I'm starting at 72 and I'm going up to 81. So coming out with a 9. All right, which hopefully you can see simplifies down to 102. Okay, so even though it was still in those big numbers, I could bring that down. Now, if I simplified it at this stage, if I simplified it at that stage, brought it down to 9 over 2, okay, it makes it a lot bit quicker to do. 1 hole, 2 holes, 3 holes, 4 holes, not quite got the 5th. Okay, so I've got 4 whole 2 slice pizzas, my type of pizza, remainder 1. Okay, so it makes it a little bit easier, but it's still possible with a bigger number. Okay, you just need to be confident to write out the 18 times table. Just do it over the right hand side of that piece of paper, your exam booklet. There we go. All right, so quite a few skills in there. But you do like this in the non-calculator. Four and a half minus 1 equals 5. All right, 4 times 2 plus or 1 over 2 minus 1 times 5 plus or 4 over 5. 8, 9 over 2 minus 5, 9 over 5. Then we're cross multiplying. 5 times 9 is 45. Minus 2 times 9 is 18. Divided by 10. Makes life a wee bit easier. 45 minus 18 is 27 over 10. 2 holes, so 10 would be 1 hole, 2 holes would be 20, 3 holes would be 30, but we're only trying to get to 27, so we don't get 3 holes, right? We've got 2, and our remainder is 7. Right, hopefully you're able to see that. We plus, as an example, 7 times 5 plus 4 plus 1 times 3 plus 1. 7 5 is 35 is 39 plus 3 4. Right. Cross multiplying that, you've got 39 times 3. I'm not going to do that in my head, so we'll just take it over to one side. 3 times 9 is 27. Oh. Carry the 2, 3 times 3 is 9, plus the 2 on is 11, 117. Plus this time 20, or 15. Right, you can see an obvious way of simplifying that. Go for it. Not really one there. All right. Now, what should I do here? So, the way that we've done to this point, we go through the 15 times table. So 1 hole would be 15, 2 holes would have 30, 45, 60, 75. Okay, and we just count them up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 holes. We don't get to the 150, so we've got remainder of 2. Okay. 9, 2 15s. Okay. Now, if we've got a big number like that, 137 over 15, a way to start would be, well, what would be 10 lots of that? And then go either side of it and see how close you are. All right. So 10 lots, 10 whole 15s would give us 150. All right. Now that brings me quite close to that. I'm still not there. Okay. So if I take one away from that, okay. So if I take 1 hole away, I'd have 150 minus 15 by 135, and that is a number below what I'm looking for. All right. That would be it. All right. So I would have 9 holes plus my remainder. All right, so going for 10 holes would bring me into that ballpark, and it would be a quicker method of doing it. There's nothing wrong with this. It doesn't take long at all. All right, that's slightly quicker. All right, so if you get comfortable and you can do it and you can picture it in your head, okay, go for that. Do one more, then we'll have a wee look at. what's the time? Do one more, then we'll have a wee look in the booklet, and then take a wee 10-minute break as well. Just doing it the other way, so we'll do 3 5/8. Well, 7 and 2/3. Three times 8 plus 5. 7 times 3 plus 2. 24, 29. 21 plus 2 is 23. Okay, and then we're cross multiplying. We're going to have to do 2 of our multiplication things. So 29 times 3. In the column, so 9 times 3 is 27. Carry the 2. 3 times 2 is 6. Plus the 2 back on is 87. I'm adding on to that 8 times 23. Again, just take it over to the side. 8 times 3 is 24. 8 times 2 is 16. Plus the 2 is 184. 3 times 8 is 24. All right. 87 plus 84 is 191, 181. What am I talking about? No, 91, yeah, 200%. All right, so again, big number. You could go 24, 48, 72, no, 48, 72. All right, but you might get lost all the way up there. Or I could just go 10 holes is 240. All right, so 10 holes would be 240. Start there. 11 is 264. Get closer. 12, adding on another 24 to that would be 288. Okay, we're below that, so we don't hit that. So we've got 11 holes. All right, and then we've got 7 as a remainder.
That all would work, didn't that, yeah?
Mhm.
Like that size.
You just multiply that denominator by 10 and work from there. That's a massive number, but I multiply by 10. All right, so I have,
Is that as like straightforward as they'll ask in the exam, or are they going to put it into like a big paragraph that we need to try and figure it out?
James comes in with 3 whole pizzas and 5/8 of another.
Yeah,
No,
good, that's fine.
I can't see them asking it in a question, the big story.
Okay, good.
But never seen that one.
I know, I know.
It's not usually like the first 2 questions.
They're usually quite a nice question, the easier way in.
It's actually not too bad. to watch.
Okay, let's have a wee look at what's in the booklet. Booklet.
What's it as, what the question?
No, it's not, I just found that funny that that's the first question I looked at in the booklet. I won't make you do that straight away.
See what I mean, honestly.
Anyway, there, mixed questions, so. Fractions expressed as a single fraction. There we go. All right, so express each sum, stop recording. Okay, guys, just to finish off the night, just want to do just two other ways that the question could come up. Okay, so one of them will be multiplying. Okay, which is the easiest way to work with them. Be the same type of question, leaving the simplest form. Okay, but just one multiple. So 3 times 5 plus 1. 2 times 3 plus 2. Times 2 times 3 6 plus 8. Then you've got 16 times 8 up. So the easiest way, just fill that out. 8 times 6 is 54. It's not. 248. 8 times 1 is 8. Plus the 4 is 12. 1 to 8. 15. Okay, one of the methods we looked at is multiplying that denominator by 10. 10 wholes would be 150. 9 wholes would be 15. Take away 15 from that, to 135. 8 wholes would be down, take away 15 from that, would be down to 120. In case we don't get up to the 135, we're at the 120, and that's 8 wholes. Well, 8 whole and left over with 8. Okay, so very similar. From there, just remember. Okay, so that's in multiple styles, and then we've got divide to finish it off. Right, so we've got what do we divide? Okay, we're just using our skills when we were multiplying and dividing fractions. So we've got mixed fraction. Tidy it up in the same way, so create a top heavy. So that'd be 16 plus 3 is 19. And then, in terms of multiple, we flip that second fraction. And that's divided by 5. Okay. Multiply the top lines together. Multiply the bottom lines together. Okay, now that top one is a difficult one, but we break that up. Okay, so we have 19 times 10, and we can add on to that 19 times 6. Okay, it's a different way of breaking up that multiple. 19 times 10 should be nice and easy for us, 190. 19 times 6, may have to do it in the column method. Okay, that would be 54, 6, 11. All right, it should be plus 114. Okay, 190 plus 114 is 290, 304. Okay, so top line, right up here, with 304. Bottom line is 8 times 5, which is 40. Okay. A couple of ways you can look at that. You can simplify it down by simplifying the fraction. Now they're both even numbers. So if I half both of those numbers, so 304 half is 152. Half of 40 is 20. Half of 152 is 76. Half of 20 is 10. They're still even, okay, so 76 is an even number, 10 is an even number. So I know that the number 2 goes into them, all right? Number 2 goes into 76, 35, 38 times 5. And that's more digestible than trying to work out how many times 40 goes into 304. So 5 goes into 38. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. It goes in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 whole times. We don't hit the 40, we have a remainder of 3. Okay, so simplifying that down, 7, 3 over 5. Okay, and that's divide. So there's a few different skills in there. Okay, if you're unsure what happened up here, let me know and I can recover that for our non-calculator skills.